And shares of Berkshire Hathaway were down today despite an upbeat annual meeting with Warren Buffett over the weekend. Berkshire stock was just one of many topics Buffett talked about with some 40,000 shareholders who converged on Omaha to hear the latest words of wisdom from the billionaire investor.
We don't want to lose our momentum.
Warren Buffett doesn't appear to be slowing down much.
Hey, we're rolling.
At 83, he's one of the Fortune 500's oldest CEOs. But that doesn't stop him from outpacing throngs of female reporters. Do you train for this?
No, it's just healthy eating, lots of exercise. Ha, ha, ha.
With his usual boundless energy, he made the rounds at Berkshire Hathaway's annual meeting, sampling his favorite Berkshire-made treats.
This is like Clark Kent going into a telephone booth when this happens.
Playing games with his buddy Bill Gates.
Okay, Bill, my house against your house. Here we go.
Oh. Hanging out with a supermodel and doing something he could cheer about. Challenging his partner, Charlie Munger, to a face-off. $2 for the Buffett bottle of ketchup, $1.50 for Charlie's.
Right now, Warren's selling about 2/3, Charlie's 1/3.
Okay.
So you're winning in a landslide so far.
He starts coming on. Notify me.
And even posing for one selfie after another. But it turns out the superhuman Buffett may actually be mortal, particularly when it comes to investing. Since 2009, Buffett's beloved Berkshire has underperformed the broader market, suggesting the investment god may finally be losing his Midas touch. In 4 of the last 5 calendar years, he's lagged his favorite benchmark, the S&P 500, by significant margins. And this is the first time in his 50-year investment career that he's logged such a lengthy losing streak.
What happened, and how do you feel about it?
The last 5 years, I think we've done pretty well. But we've been in an up market, and we do better relatively in down markets than we do in up markets. But we've done pretty well in the up market.
Still, at this weekend's capitalist carnival, few shareholders question Buffett's track record.
I don't think he's lost his touch. I think things happen in cycles, and you have to stay committed to an investment you make for the long term.
If I can buy the Class A Berkshire shares at $180,000 when they're really worth $230,000, that's a great opportunity for me.
Professional money managers feel the same way.
This is a terrific investment. It continues to be. Anybody that sold it for the last 40 years was dumb and dumber because it underperformed.
Buffett's winning streak is by far from over. I still think there's a lot of great opportunity here for upside, for Berkshire shares, as well as the earnings power of the company.
And no one seemed betrayed by recently disclosed news that Buffett has advised his wife to invest in a low-cost index fund after he's gone.
If you're lucky enough to find a Warren Buffett and invest with him early in your career, you can do a lot better than an index fund, but it's probably pretty sound advice.
At every turn, Buffett was giving lots of advice.
The U.S. grows 2% a year. That means in a generation, if there's 1% population growth, that means in a generation your kids live 20% better than you do.
Tips on buying a home.
If you're going to live in a place for 10 years, if you're going to live in Omaha for 10 years, I'd buy a house today.
And how General Motors' new CEO is handling a massive recall.
I had lunch with Mary Barra just about a week ago. And she's dynamite. You couldn't have a better executive.
Buffett answered 65 questions from shareholders for more than 5 hours. The first one was the most controversial. Why Buffett didn't vote against Coca-Cola's lavish executive compensation plan. As Coke's largest investor, Buffett said, quote, going to war over the plan would not have been productive. Shareholders seem satisfied. Most corporate annual meetings are poorly attended, but this one is a massive love fest. About 40,000 people came this year. It's a well-orchestrated event designed for Berkshire fans to bask in the glow of the Oracle of Omaha. Now, there may be critics of Berkshire and Buffett, but you won't find them here. Buffett tried to get what he called a credentialed bear, someone shorting Berkshire stock, to come and ask tough questions. But none were grisly enough. It's hard to believe you couldn't find a bear. I mean, there's no critic of Berkshire.
Oh, there's plenty of critics, but they don't seem to want to put up their money.
Still, that didn't stop some shareholders from wondering about plans for Berkshire's $50 billion pile of cash. Aside from a $3 billion Canadian energy deal a few days ago, Berkshire hasn't made a significant acquisition since it invested in Heinz Ketchup a year ago.
How important is it for you to do a big acquisition, and do you have something in mind?
Well, I always have things in mind, and then the question is whether, I can propose, but the other person has to say yes.
Others say, never mind about the next big deal. The real question is, how long Buffett will keep up this pace? And what happens to Berkshire when he's no longer running the show? Buffett is typically mum on the subject. For now, he still enjoys being in the center of things and staying on the move. What more do you want to do?
Oh, I want to. Berkshire is an unfinished painting, and I want to keep painting.
And what will be Warren Buffett's legacy? He says he wants to be remembered for being a teacher.